Okay, let's start today's webinar. Welcome to this month's GroupWise update. We've got Eric is going to take us through an update on where we are on the development side, and then I'll take you through some of the integration between GroupWise and Filr and just do quite an in-depth look at that. So you understand it there. And behind the scenes, as always, we've got Ed, we've got Pam, and I think we've got Mike as well there. And we've also got Bob Goodman, who's one of the, I think, are you on one of the developers, Bob?
Yes.
Of this bit, so you're the one we blame when it all goes wrong. And we've got a few others from the development side as well behind the scenes. So let's just, before we get on to Eric, I just wanted to let you know that we've got the TTP USA coming up in July. It's running from Saturday the 13th through to Friday the 19th of July. We've got, that's taking place in our offices in Provo in Utah. We've got a full one-day workshop on GroupWise and many other products as well, but we're only talking about GroupWise here and enterprise messaging. So that's going to be delivered by Ed Handley and myself. And that's, I think, is that on the Saturday, Ed, or the Sunday?
It is Saturday.
It's on the Saturday. Great. So we've got that there. As I said, there are lots of other one-day workshops as well. And then we've got quite a few GroupWise and enterprise messaging sessions going on over the week. So Eric's going to go through a full roadmap, and we'll just have a look at some of the, I'll show you some of the client bits and pieces that are coming out. Ed and James are going to do some secure messaging gateway sessions. There are a couple of secure messaging gateway sessions there, and Ed's going to go through on the retain side. Oh, and finally, I've got a session. I'm doing a power user of GroupWise. So some of the features of GroupWise you might not be too familiar with. The registration's there. I'll put that into the chat window just so that you've got it. It is a free conference. All you need to do is get there and attend, which is good. I've just put that in the chat session if you want to get the link to that as well. Oh, actually, let me just see. I've got a listing here of, you can come and look at the recording later, but you can see that we've got quite a few sessions going on all the sort of Novell products and work sessions as well there. So quite a bit going on. So as far as today's concerned, we're going to get a release update from Eric, and then we'll go into the GroupWise integration with Filr. And at the end, if there's time, we'll take some Q&A, and hopefully Pam and the others behind the scene are keeping an eye on the Q&A. If you've got questions, use the Q&A panel. That's, I think, on the three dots in the bottom right of your screen. So Eric, I guess we've got next month we've got a release, have we?
Yes. The SMG well, we have releases for GroupWise too. I mean, just not retain, but yes, we've got the first release of SMG without being attached to the appliance. That's coming soon. That's coming well. We currently are running a beta. That's been going good, and so uh, yeah, it's a good idea to get involved with that if you can, and and give us your feedback there. But yeah, next month, by the end of July, we'll have SMG on the non-appliance version coming. Other news, let's see, those of you that use Retain, it's probably worth letting you know that the Exchange module will be getting an update. We're hoping for the 24.4 release is the target, and it'll be getting an update for that'll include Kerberos with an NTLM fallback authentication piece for those that use the connector there for on-prem Exchange. So that's something that's been asked for from a lot of people. That's on its way there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else new. We are looking at SIEM integrations, or well, a feature for GroupWise. We're targeting beginning work on that around the first quarter of 2025. I'm not sure the exact deliverable there. Somewhere in that first half, we hope to have something coming down the pipe for that. I know that's a highly requested um, feature there, so we'll be looking into that, and then we've got the SMG attachment scanner piece that we're looking forward to for GroupWise Web for 24.3. That we're hoping to get there, and I think we've shown recently the last webinar. I think we showed the Teams integration for GroupWise. We'll be doing a similar WebEx integration as well following that. So the only other questions that I've gotten recently would have been around Retain with the Teams integration there. That's targeted somewhere around the middle of the 2025 release year. So I don't. Those are the best those are the updates I've got there for the enterprise and GroupWise team. So I guess back to you, Robin.
Okay, great. Pam, any questions come in on any of that?
There's one for Eric. I was just going to answer it, but I'll throw it over to his way. How will we support the new SMG running on OES, and can it be run on the GroupWise entitlement of SLES?
So on OES, I'm not sure what the agreement is on that. I mean, OES is technically SLES. We eventually, I believe, will begin to try to test that. Right now, we don't have the capacity right away. So on the initial release, we'll have SLES and OpenSUSE. OES is planned to include in the testing run. It just isn't going to make it for the first release. So, you can give it a shot and see. I suspect it probably will at some point, but I just as far as our testing and official work on it goes, it probably won't be for the first release. But it is planned to be. And hopefully quickly. So yeah, and as far as it being part of the GroupWise entitlement, I believe it does. I wouldn't jump on that just yet. I just need to make sure that we cross some proper legal backing first, and then I will announce that soon. So I can't give you the exact answer just yet. I think it does, but I need I'm going to put that huge asterisk up that it says wait for me to give you an official answer there.
Okay,
Sorry
great.
about that. I wish I could be a little more clear, but I just need to make sure that there's a little bit of work on the back end that we just need to go through procedurally, and then I'll let you know.
If not running on the GroupWise entitlement to SLES, will we provide a SLES entitlement for SMG?
There will not be an entitlement. No entitlement.
It will still, however, be covered under enterprise messaging, yes or no?
SMG itself will ship through enterprise messaging, yes. The application.
But I think the wording on the EULA is to maintain and secure your GroupWise system as far as the SLES entitlement is concerned. So my guess is the legal team will say that you can use the GroupWise entitlement, but that's just a guess. I'm not a lawyer.
Right. So, Robin, you're correct. I'm leaning on the similar wording there as well. But what I want to do is, because we're in a group here with everyone that's asking these questions, I just want to make sure that their interpretation is the same interpretation that we have. I suspect it will be, but let's make sure that before we make an official announcement there on that.
Yeah.
And then one last one for Eric before he goes away. Key Shield SSO for SMG quarantine that's been missing since Guava 6.5. Do you know when we're going to bring that back?
I don't have that on my roadmap for the next while. I would suggest we put that in with the ideas and see if we can garner enough votes to bring that up to bring that to a to a development attention. The Key Shield integration with GroupWise Web is something we'd like to do, and around the same time as the other SSO NAM integration as well. But as far as it with SMG, I don't currently have any plans for that.
I think it's already out there in the ideas portal, but Thomas, if you would go out there and just drop it in, that would be great.
Okay, let's crack on then. If you have got questions, as I said, do post them in the question panel. Hopefully Pam or the others will pick them up there, and if necessary, ask. So I think 5 times in the past month I've been talking to GroupWise customers who are running Filr as well, and they're totally unaware of the integration that we have between Filr and GroupWise. So I thought that maybe it would be time to do an in-depth look at the integration and what you've got there and the functionality and the benefits that you've got, so you understand what we have available to you. So maybe first of all, let's just go through what is Filr. Filr is a virtual appliance or virtual appliances, depending on how you deploy it, that sits in front of your existing document store. So that could be OES, it could be Windows, it could be a NAS box, and your users, who may be internal users trying to come in, external users, or indeed anonymous users, can get access to this information through typically a browser, but we have desktop capabilities for Windows and Mac. We've got mobile apps for iOS and Android. And Filr just sits there in front of the existing file storage and exposes that to your users, whoever may be accessing information. The great thing about this is you don't need to move data from one place to another, and we can use existing backup, antivirus, and so on the store there. So it solves two problems, really. One is that your internal users can have secure remote access to their files. And the second thing is that we deliver is secure sharing of those files, and they can be shared to internal users or indeed external users. So I can share a file with Pam, for instance, with an internal user, or I could share it with you as a customer or partner, and you've got access to that. So we have two versions of Filr. There's Filr Standard, and really this is the standard basic version of Filr. You have an entitlement to that if you've got OES or Open Workgroup Suite. And if you wanted to, there is a Filr Advanced add-on. You can get to that to take it up to Filr Advanced. And Filr Advanced gives you a whole load of additional functionality, including some extra bits with GroupWise. And if you have enterprise messaging, then you've got Filr Advanced. The way they work with GroupWise is slightly different. Filr Advanced gives you some more extra functionality that you haven't got with Filr Standard as far as the integration with GroupWise is concerned. But they both will integrate with GroupWise and give broadly the same functionality to your users. So why would you want to use Filr with GroupWise? Well, if you've got it already in place, then really it's a no-brainer. But if you consider the security side of things, if I send out an attachment to someone outside my organization, once that leaves your organization, you've lost total control over that information. You have no idea who's accessed that file. Have they passed it on to others? Did they actually read the file? And also, you know, if something needs to be changed in that file, you can't change it. You have to go and send out another copy of that file. And maybe most importantly, when you find out that somebody has emailed out all your customer list to someone, you can't revoke that access. So using Filr integration, these problems can be solved. And the other thing that is great about it is, I'm sure we've all had a problem when we've sent an email out with an attachment, a large attachment, and we get a message back saying, sorry, we only let 10 meg files come into the organization. And you can't get that file to them. So what we can do is just send a link to that file, and the user just clicks on the link and can access the file rather than you sending that 100 meg file or whatever as an attachment. So you've got some quite nice features there that can make life easy. So to enable the integration, this is just done through the GroupWise administration console, and this can be set at a domain level, post office level, or user level on the client options. So just the same as other settings that you might have that you want to set there. Let's just have a look at that. So let me come into GroupWise Administration Console. And where are we? So let's just have a look. I'll just do it on a user for the moment. So the great thing about this is if you don't want everyone to have access to this, you just want to try it out, you can just enable it for yourself if you wanted to. So here I've got the URL of my Filr system that I want to connect to. And you'll see later on, you may want to just connect to a single node on your system, and we'll explain why later on. So am I going to force attachment, storage of attachments in Filr? So if I go and attach a file from my local drive, do I want to upload that file into Filr and send a link from there? So you've got an option for all attachments or just attachments that are larger than a specific size. So in this case, I've set a threshold of 2 meg. And then do I want to allow anonymous access to any links that I send out? Or do people have to authenticate in order to get access? And you're thinking, how do my external users authenticate? They're not, they're just ad hoc people that have been sent outside my organization, and we'll cover that in a moment. But if I share via public link, it's easier for people receiving that link, but you lose a little bit of functionality there. So as far as security is concerned, they can pass that link on to anyone, and those users can access the file, but much the same as you've got at the moment if you attach a file and they send that and forward that to other people. And you also, we have a capability, which I'll show you later on, of being able to audit access. And obviously, if people aren't authenticating, we don't know who they are. So I don't know that it was Pam that accessed that file or Eric. I just see that a user, guest user, accessed the file. So you may want to, depending on how, if you want to make it easy for users or more secure, it's the perpetual balance there between usability and security that you need to balance there. So that's the settings there. You can, obviously it's not going to do, well actually I can set it and lock it at the user level, so it can't be overwritten from above. So you can have slightly different settings for some users if need be.
Robin?
So, yeah.
The integration works with both regular Filr and advanced, correct?
Yes, it does. There's slight different way that some of the things happen, but it will work with both standard and advanced. So anyone with OES can, you've got Filr with OES as an entitlement with your maintenance. So if you're running Filr standard or you've got OES and you haven't put in Filr standard, I would very much recommend that you implement Filr. I suppose it's your own private Dropbox that you can implement there, and on-prem, so you're not having to push stuff up to the cloud where it may be considered insecure. Anyway, let's crack on.
Hey, Robin, on that previous screen, will you be covering that one statement too about what's done on the Filr administration side? Well, see,
Sorry, which?
where that one sentence there says if filer email settings are enabled in filer administration.
Yeah,
That's
I'm covering that later.
okay. Good.
That's that's one of the things that's different between standard and advanced.
Okay, good.
So you're jumping the gun, Ed.
I'm just trying to pretend I'm just a regular brand new customer here watching the webinar.
Okay, so as far as authentication is concerned, you get prompted for those on your first access or indeed first access of the GroupWise session if you haven't saved your password. But you can change those if you want to, as with some of the other things like Vibe and so on. You can change those in your options. So let me just show you here. If I go to accounts, account options, down here, I've got my filer settings. So in here, I can just put in a different user if I wanted to here. Just as a word of advice, if you are changing user credentials there, and with some settings that happen, you may find you need to restart the client for those to take effect. So just be aware of that. You can also set your default attachment location for when you're attaching files. So you can either get it to go straight to filer or still work in the same way as it always has. Let me just show you what I mean for that. So at the moment, if I come up and do a new mail, so I've got, you can see I've got option to add filer attachment down here as the default. But what I can do is, and don't worry, you can still get to the other way of doing things if you wanted to, and I'll show you that in a moment. But here in the default actions, I can specify that it just is the attachment as usual from the local drive mappings that I've got. I'll leave it on filer for the moment. And just to show you, you can access the other way of doing things. If I right click on this bit, I've got the option to add an attachment and up comes my normal dialog. So I can just add something through there if I wanted to. And indeed, I can jump back to the filer side of things here if I wanted to at that point. So you've got options there. And similarly, if I've clicked on this dialog by mistake, I've got the option for local file as well. So you can go both ways there if you wanted to.
Robin, another question that I don't know the answer to. Does it work with the NAM fronting into filer?
It can, yes, but you'd need to put a bypass based. I'm just trying to think. You'd need to bypass NAM and go straight to filer for that. Maybe not, actually. Something to test anyway. I go through some ways of solving some problems, but I didn't think of putting something in on that, and I haven't worked it out. Yeah, something that maybe we should test out. Okay, so we can just select the attachment in filer, or if I'm attaching something from my local drive and the size is over the threshold, the file will be uploaded into filer. And we can set options for whether we're sharing that as a public link or as a share effectively. And indeed, we can give people view rights or edit rights to a file. Let me just show you how this works. So let me just send this to Peter there. Subject, let's call this test A. Test. So here, if I add a filer attachment here, and let's just take something like the a1.doc. Down here, I can specify whether users can edit that and share that with a external share or view. And with public link, you can only do a view. You can't give edit rights to that. And I can specify when that link expires. And obviously, I've got options to create files and so on there. So if I just say OK to that, I do get a warning coming up to me about attachments going through. And you notice here that file, it just says 0 bytes. It's actually going to be sent as a couple of 100 bytes or so there. So if I send that, oh, one of the things I can do down here, by the way, is if I want to change options, I can change that here. So I can say, right, we'll give edit rights to that. As I said, you can't actually do edit on that. So I'll show you the editing side later. And let's just send that message. So that's now sent that message to Peter. We just go to Peter's mailbox. There's the message that's come in. And I can see that file down here, and I can view it if I wanted to. And I can go and open that as well quite happily. So you've got those there. You can see it works in much the same way as it normally would. It's just, let's just go and do details there. You'll just see that, you know, the it's a dummy 11K at the moment, but when it came in originally, it would have been only a few hundred bytes in size. That there, right? So that's sending an attachment, and you can see there's no authentication based around that whatsoever. So let's just do one where we need to authenticate to get access to this. Let me just come down there and let's do a new mail, and I'll send this to Peter again. What do we have? Test B, test. I'll add a filer attachment. Sorry, I've got too many VMs running on my poor little laptop. So, so here I'm just going to allow editing and do that as an external share. Send that to Peter. So just to show you that one coming in, so you can see the message has come in there. You can see there it's actually only 300 bytes at that point till I access it for the first time. Then the actual size gets updated with the true size, even though it's still just a pointer to that. that should have, why didn't that? Dum. Ah, I'll tell you why, because I'm already authenticated. I've got this set up for for Peter to be authenticated. But notice there, that's something I mentioned we would get. Now that Peter, and it knows I'm Peter because I've already got the credentials there, it didn't prompt me to put them in because he was set up. Notice, because Peter's authenticated to access that one, rather than just being a link there, I get a notification telling me that Peter has accessed that file. What I also have, and that will just happen for the first person to access that file. So if I share a file with 100 people, I'm only going to get one email with the first person accessing it. However, I can access the log of all users. So this is just a log file. In this case, I've only got one user who's done that, and I can download a PDF report of that as well, so I know who's accessed it, when, and so on. Right.
Robin,
So any questions around that?
there are a couple. One is from Kevin White. When attaching a file from Filr, can the filer show more than 100 folders at a time? They use Filr to send document packs to customers, and their server has a lot of files on it, a lot of folders on it. Will it show more than 100, or is it limited?
I haven't tried with more than 100. Bob, maybe that one's for you.
Well, I have the same answer. I've never tried it with more than 100, so I can't answer it.
So Kevin, if you find that is the case, open a case with support, and if nothing else, we can check with development and see if that's a limitation to Filr. And then we have another question in the chat forum. If you don't have local storage in Filr and everything runs via OES shares, where does that file end up when you attach it? Does it go
You're
to the
preempting
files
me there.
directory?
I have a slide
Sorry.
on this in a moment.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And Gerd says that he has 278 folders and it works on all of them. So that is probably Kevin's answer.
Okay, good. Okay, so the yeah, I think I've shown you receiving a mail attachment there. Oh, let's show you it with an external user, just so you can see how that one works, because it's slightly different. Because obviously the easy way you saw there was just sending the file link. But if you're doing an authenticated access, then one, you can only have that one user access, or who you've sent it to access it. They can't email it on to someone else and they click on it to access it. And also on that activity report, you can see that they've accessed it. You're going to get information. You can see when they first accessed the file. So let's just do that again. Oh, and maybe this time what I'll do is just take a local file to upload and just show you what happens with that. So I'll just take a file that's over. Let's take the file preview in. Let's come down. I have no idea what that file is, except it's not over the 2. I just wanted to Let's take that file there. So okay, yes, I know it's there. Oh, so when I send this, and let's send this to an external user. What are we up to? That test C here. I can set rights on my options in here. I can just say that we've only got view rights on that, and I'm sending that as an external share to this external user, and hopefully he doesn't exist at the moment. I can't remember if I deleted him. Let me just check. I did delete him. Because yep, he's gone there. So here, if I send that, you can see there it uploaded the file into Filr, and now it's sent a pointer to that file. So you've got that threshold where it'll copy information up into the Filr environment. Let's just go over to Peter, that one, and that will come in a moment, hopefully. Or did I see my GUI was down? Oh. Come on. Oh, there we go. So this time around, I've got 2 emails coming in. One telling me that I've been invited to access an item, and the other with the actual email that I sent. So let's just go through these in order. So in this case, I've got to self-register because I don't exist on the system at the moment. If I'd already registered, I wouldn't need to do this. I'd just get the email that was sent. But in this instance, I've got to self-register. By the way, you can change the look and feel of these emails to whatever you want, put your logos on and so on. So here, I'll click on self-registration. First name is going to be, let's do Peter A. Prompts me for mobile number if I'm going to be using SMS one-time password, but in this instance I'm not. And I'll just put in password and do sign up. Okay. So now I've registered there. What we can do should, oops. I log in as P. Atkins. You can see there's that file that I shared, and I can go and preview that. Come on. I can preview it. As I said, I've got about 5 VMs running at the moment on here. Oh, and there's my notification telling me that it's been done. So there we go. I've got that previewed there. And indeed, I can, for instance, go and edit that file in here. This is an online editor that comes with Filr Advanced, so people don't have to download a file to their local workstation. It all remains in your data center there if you wanted it to. Right, let's go on. So you can see, yeah, there's my, just telling me that that external user has accessed the file. So Filer Advanced gives you some extra options, and as Ed pointed out before, these take preference over the GroupWise settings. So let's just have a look at those. And you have them on the Office and Mail settings. So at the moment, I've had it disabled. So you've been seeing it working as if for Filer Standard. So if I just enable this, I get a whole load of additional options here. So much the same sort of settings we had before there. Am I going to allow the user to define the policy, or am I going to define it there? Am I going to let the user modify what I've got? Send attachments using Filer, same as before. If a standard attachment's over whatever meg, it will get uploaded into Filer. When to expire the link. Something interesting here, I do have a number of downloads as well that I can limit it by. And then we can delete attachments, these attachments as well. So you've got an option to delete expired attachments. All I need to do is just hit that, and that will just go and delete those there. Or I can say delete any attachments that are older than so many days. So as an administrator, I can do that. But there's a process that runs at, I think, 1 a.m. GMT, which will delete all the expired attachments from if you're running the Filer Advanced side of things. So you can see you can edit the file in place there. You've got that email notification. You've got that access report as well. Oh, you also have full auditing on what we've got going on there. Let me just show you what I mean by that. If I come into the reports in Filer here, and I do use this report here. Let's just open that. You should see that Peter will have been editing files or whatever. Let's look at the bottom here. So you can see here, Peter viewing files, that external user. That's just his account being created at this point with workspaces being created and so on. I can see Robin added that share. I can see Peter, the internal Peter downloaded. So everything that we're doing is logged. I know who viewed a file, who downloaded a file, who deleted a file, and so on. So you've got a full audit trail on messages leaving your organization. And that can be sent to a SIEM solution if you wanted to. So if you're running something like ArcSight or maybe Sentinel, you can track that, and then you know, if somebody's doing something they shouldn't be, then that can alert you to that side of things. So this is going to your question earlier, Pam, about where are those uploaded attachments stored. So with Filer Standard, a new directory is created in the user's home directory, which the attachments are put in. So let's just go and have a look here. So I should have some that were added from my previous bit. So it automatically creates this folder called GW Attachments. And in here are the attachments that I've put in there. I've uploaded, and you can see you know, the links on this, or the Peter Atkins being the person who's that's been shared with, and public links on those. So that's where they get put effectively with Filer standard. You've got, if you're running Filer advanced, and you'll notice that those A1, A2, or whatever I was uploading before are not in here, because we've got the other side of things. So they get stored in a hidden directory. The user doesn't see it, but they're actually in VA storage, Filer, mail repository. So in here is where those files get put. On VA storage or VA share if you're running a clustered version. You want to know what files you've got there. There is a report that you can run. Where are we? Reports. Running out of time. We've got Filer Outlook and GroupWise report, so I can report on what files are in that storage there. Okay, advanced authentication. Sorry, was that a question? No. Okay. Advanced authentication currently, it's not supported if you've got advanced authentication running on Filer, but there is a workaround, a way you can solve the problem, in that you can create a dedicated Filer node just for your GroupWise to connect to. And rather than pointing in your integration setting, your client settings and GroupWise administration at your standard GroupWise load balancer or whatever, you point at that specific node that you've got. And then you've got an option to disable MFA on that node. So on just on that one node, your users don't have to do MFA. And that's just by editing SFEXT properties and adding that disable advanced authentic or AA on this node equals true. So let me just show you where that is stored. So if we look at opt, Novell, Apache Tomcat, web apps, SSF, webint, classes, config. So in here, that's the main setting file, but any changes you do in this file, SFEXT properties, and just go and add that option down at the bottom, down here, to disable it on that one node. So don't do that for the other nodes. And then your normal users coming in with desktop, mobile, browser will still get the MFA, but people coming in with GroupWise won't have to go through that step. So I suppose question now for you guys is, this is your opportunity to tell Eric what you'd like to see extra in that integration between GroupWise and Filer. Obviously, some of you out there are already running this. So
GW Web has been asked for a couple of times.
Oh, yes, that comes up quite often in conversations. And Eric, I know we've discussed it in the past. Are there any plans in that area?
I think oh no, he is still there.
Sorry, you'll repeat the question there again.
Filer and
Filer
GW
integration.
Web integration.
Into web, yeah. So one of the goals of mine is to try to get these integrations, both integrations with our enterprise products and also with social media. Those are part of my vision of the GroupWise, and anyone who's seen a roadmap has probably, at least a recent one, has seen that slide that I have there. My intent is to get this integration, among a few others, to GroupWise Web. I know they aren't happening in parallel with the Windows client, but I definitely have that in my sights, and so it's at some point here soon. We should start to see some of these things begin to make their way into the roadmap for GroupWise Web.
And then Kevin asked a hypothetical question that it went so far over my head, it didn't even create a breeze. But here we go. If GroupWise and Filr advanced administrators essentially force Filr to be used for all attachments, public links, for example, then any supported GroupWise client can use Filr attachment links, correct? Meaning mobile, GMS, GW Web. Is that
No, so to create the link, you can only do that from the Windows client. As we said, we're looking at giving that functionality into the web. With GMS, obviously that you're using the mail app on the device, which we don't have control over. Any client can receive that and access the file. Yeah, so that could be GMS, web, could be Outlook, could be Gmail, whatever, and they can access that attachment. But to create that link, you need to do it from the Windows client. Any other questions or suggestions? Pam, you're muted.
Sorry. Kevin said perhaps an enhancement request for Eric would be for the administrator option to globally enable Filr for outside attachments regardless of the client. Another for Eric would be Key Shield working for GroupWise client and Filr and web and GW and Filr web and GW web in the future. So Key Shield for everything.
Okay, so
Again, these need to just go into our ideas exchange.
Yeah, well, Key Shield works with GroupWise at the moment and Filr.
Right, but anything that's new that's not there needs to go into the ideas exchange.
Yeah. I suppose another one I get occasionally, and I'm not quite sure, people ask, is that when sending via link, Filr has the option to have a password on that link, and wanting to have the option there to be able to set a password when sharing with a link. That way you get a bit of extra security around it. But then, of course, you need to get the password to the recipient in some other way. You don't really want to put it in the email that you're sending with the attachment. Any other questions coming through?
There's one from Rainier in the chat. He wants to know, can the administrator create a report on all shares sorted by user?
You can do that with a SQL query against Filr, and you can sort it however you want there. I think Rainier, you should have gone to Dietmar's session where he covered bits and pieces of that at the TTP in Nuremberg. Okay, if there are no other questions, we're bang on the hour. Thank you very much for attending. Next month, I'm going to be on a plane, so Ed is going to be taking the session. And Ed, were you going to do one of the SMG sessions, or?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't picked the exact topic and haven't put anything together yet.
No. So watch this space.
Yeah, watch
And
this.
we'll see you next month. Thank you very much to everyone behind the scenes, Pam, Bob, Ed, and of course Eric, for their input. And we'll see you next month. Goodbye.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks, everyone.